like this.
Three young fathers in your group. Yeah, well, 3 new kids on your group. How has it changed your younger guys though, having their first children?
I don't know right now. I mean, obviously this week Jake and his wife had a baby, and a great story with that. But it's I don't know. I do think I don't notice anything. I really don't. I really don't see it. And do they mature more? I don't see it. These guys are all pretty hardworking, good guys, and so I don't see much change in the guys. And obviously, we all know that it's a huge change, huge life change to have a baby, and all that go with it, and their commitment to things they need to do. But I think these guys have been good all along with it. So.
How was Jake throughout the game?
Well, I didn't even know till after the game. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys heard the story, but it was, seriously, we found out he went early in the morning, his wife went into labor, they went to the hospital, had the baby, and he was back over here dressing for the game, and nobody knew that they'd had a baby. And pretty soon we're like, somebody said, hey, Brendel and his wife, they had a baby. And we're like, well, what are we going to do for a center today? He was like, well, no, he's in the locker room changing. And so he went, they did it. Luckily, everything went smoothly, and they were able to, she was able to deliver, stayed there for about an hour or so, came over, suited up, and played the game. And I didn't know the whole game. I would have never noticed. And then after the game, I heard the story, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty crazy. And he did a great job.
You have to take into account the fact that it's probably going to pour when you're game planning.
Yeah, I mean, the fortunate thing is we've had some rain here, obviously, in Northern California lately, so we've practiced in it a lot. We had some rain games early. The first Seattle game had some rain, obviously not the extent that we're going to get probably this weekend. And then obviously the Chicago game, the first game was great until the end. It was fine, you could manage, and everything was going along pretty smoothly till the end, and it just became an absolute. There was no way you could play, and I don't think we're going to see that. So I just think you just have to practice in it, which we're doing, which is really fortunate, and you just get used to dealing with the wet ball. I was noticing the quarterback center exchanges today were. They were good, knock on wood, and the guys they do a good job with it. It's really good to be able to practice in it. You get to deal with the weather and deal with the elements, the wind, things like that. So it was a good practice day that way.
It doesn't seem like the elements shake Brock Purdy either. Does it seem like he's just still even keel throughout everything?
Yeah, what are they called, mudders? They're good. They're good in the mud, right? You have running backs like Raheem Mostert was much more of a like the fast track, right, and things like that, where Jeff Wilson was more of a guy that could sludge it out in the mud, that kind of. I think Brock Purdy, having played at Iowa State, we have to assume he played in bad weather there, and so he's probably gotten used to it through the years. And it is an adjustment. I mean, it definitely is. You play in that weather. I mean, having coached in Tampa and having coached in Miami, you go up in those cold weather games, you're just, no matter how hard you try, it's hard to acclimate in that short period of time. Rain's the same thing, but fortunately we've had enough of it. I think our guys have had a chance.
4 sacks allowed in this game seemed like uncharacteristically struggle of a game for the offensive line. What did you see from the breakdowns there?
Yeah, the breakdown was we had this is not pointing fingers. We didn't execute our plan well enough. We had 2 of the JJ's 2 sacks. We actually had a chance to double team them, and we missed the opportunities. We just didn't quite do what we should do on it. And the guy, and he's a good player, and he made plays. And his last game, gosh, if you're going to say he got us on 2, we still won the game. He got 2 sacks for his last game. Good for him. We tried not to give it to him, but he still got us. And it wasn't the one-on-one matchups that he won. It was chances that we had to kind of neutralize him, and we didn't take advantage of him. And he was still able to get to the quarterback. The other 2 sacks. I'm trying to think. I know the one was just they ran a good stunt on it, and then the other one, Brock scrambled backwards and probably could have thrown the ball away on that one where it didn't need to. So, yeah, but those things are always there's a bunch of games this year where I'll bet you Jimmy, even Brock, or even Trey, the first game avoided some. And then this one, you think you've got it locked down, and next thing you know, you give up 4 sacks, and it's the ebb and flow of the whole thing. So obviously, it's a big point of emphasis this week. You don't want that to start being a factor, because those sacks they take you out of drives, especially first and second down sacks. You got to be sure you can tighten up and make sure. And it was good. It was a good lesson for us to say, let's get this detailed up. When we say this, it means this, and we weren't quite on the details, and we missed those ops.
Obviously, you don't want to take your quarterback to take a 17-yard sack. Kyle said he probably knew exactly what happened when he hit the ground and Kyle was in his ear. What is Kyle like in the headset when he's talking to Brock after a play like that?
This is PG here, right? This is a PG-13 audience. Yeah, no, he's Kyle. Obviously, we all get animated on game day. No, he's great. He just he'll always tell the guy what he should have done. And he's just very straightforward with guys. The one thing about Kyle is very honest with the players and straightforward. And on game days, there's always a little bit of emotion behind it. But man, dude, you got to get rid of the ball. Dude, we can't take that kind of sack. That's a lot of field position that we're giving away that we possibly could back them up inside the 5 or 10 yard line, and we lose those 17 yards on a sack, and it's really hard to overcome.
How does Brock respond to that?
I think he's pretty good. You guys see Brock's demeanor. He's he's a pretty serious-minded guy, so sometimes you can't really tell what he's thinking. You can't tell if he's mad or if he's happy or what he is. So he seems to take it well. I think he's a pretty tough-minded kid and can handle tough coaching. But there's a lot, and no matter how tough you are, you're going through a lot every single day at that position. You're learning a lot. A lot falls on your shoulders. So sometimes it's hard. But these are lessons he has to learn. And we've talked about before. These are invaluable lessons when you go out on game day and you get to experience these things.
Game planned a lot for Pete Carroll's defense. What's challenging or unique about game planning against him in particular?
Well, they're just very, very, very sound, and they're well coached. So they're going to be where they're supposed to be. And then even when you know where they are and you go block them, you have a good play, you still got to block them. You still got to break a tackle. Guys got to break a tackle, or you got to finish them so they don't come off and make a play. I mean, they're well coached, not just in the scheme itself, but in then playing their techniques and fundamentals. And they're very, very good at doing it. And they've been through the years. Pete has always his defenses from back. I remember back when he was in New England. I mean, it's always been sound. It came from he and Monty Kiffin. Came from now the defenses, how they put the defense together has changed through the years as to what they're running, but the base fundamentals of how you stop the run and the gap control and the fits and how they do things has been so consistent through the years. And it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. You have to be on point with how you block them. It's not just enough to say, okay, we got a guy for him, a guy for him, a guy for him. It's not just having a guy for him. It's how you're going to get him blocked. Because they got some challenging guys with Al Woods back. He wasn't there the first game. They lost 90 in our game, but 97's back. I'm back and playing well. 93, the inside linebacker really lost their leading tackler. Those other two guys are really good have been good special teams players. They're 2 inside linebackers now, and they are good in space. They're hard to block. Special teams, right? They're in open areas. They're used to dealing with things. And so you have to get on them, and you have to work to finish, or it might look like, oh, there's a play that's going to break out. No, it's 5 yards. It's 4 yards. And then when you get through it, the whole thing is 6 at free safety. That guy makes sure he makes sure that that nothing gets through. The big run at the end of our last game, 6 was that's my first time at the podium. 6 was blitzing, and so they had a different guy in the middle of the field. So when our runner broke through, Mace, he was able to make that guy miss. Where if it was 6, I don't know if he would have or not. I hope he would have, and we would have had a big run to ice the game. Either way, it was a first down. But it is that's what that defense is. And so you can imagine, even though the style of defense has changed, imagine back when it was the Legion of whatever they call it, boom, doom, whatever they are, boom. Yeah, they were. Then you have all these great players in every single position. And so they've gone through a little bit of transition, but these guys still play very, very sound. The fundamentals are there. Long answer, but I'm telling you, I have a ton of respect for Pete and the defenses that they've run through the years. And it just really makes you lock down and say, guys, I'm telling you, it's not just the normal this block or that block. You better be on your details.
Was Arizona the best so far at kind of attacking Brock up the middle to chase him? Because he's a shorter quarterback, and you want to take away that cleanness in the front of the pocket.
They really didn't. I mean, that's what they did. It's what happened, but it was more just there was normal rushes. It wasn't like they had a scheme to attack Brock a certain way because they weren't doing a lot. It was just that what came free, what we didn't pick up, who got beat, it happened to be in that area. It wasn't around the corner, it was up the middle. But it wasn't like by design they were pouring 3 up the middle or all that. There wasn't a lot of pressure, actually. There was single backer dogs and a couple little things that they did in there that created some of it, but I don't think it was trying to force him to do one way or the other. The pressures came every other way or a different way.
Have you seen much of that?
Nope. No, it's been – because I think there's a lot more right now with I don't know. I'm not on the other side of the ball, but the defense. But I think there's a lot more with who you got to cover and things like that. So I think there's a little bit more of I don't know. We're seeing. I don't know how to say it. It's just there's not as much of that right now. I think they're more concerned about just they run their 5-man rushes. They do what they do to come free. When they pressure, it's well thought out, hoping to get a guy free. but they have issues with covering our guys as well. So I think it's a little bit harder to just say we're going to sell out to make sure Purdy can't step up in the pocket, or if you think because he's shorter he can't see, or whatever that might be. I think there's more to it with the coverage of our players and making sure that it won't matter what you're doing up the middle. If you can't cover, the ball's going to come out and a play is going to be made. So, but could be that we might see some of that at some point.
So he gets rid of the ball fast enough.
Oh, he's outstanding. He goes through his progressions really, really fast. He gets the ball out outstandingly and does a good job. And like everybody, he could be a little better on some. And some of them, it's amazing how he gets the ball out. That play he made against Miami to Kittle in his first game when he came in for Jimmy on a hot throw was unbelievable. It really turned the game for us. It was one of the better throws of the season that we've had this year from any quarterback. And he's got that in him. But he's still got to go through. It's still the same thing. He's maybe a little late to this one, a little early to this one, didn't see this, scrambles when he shouldn't, all those things.
I think Elijah Mitchell's played the Seahawks yet this season. How nice is it to have him back for this game?
Oh, I love Elijah. Elijah's just such a physical runner. He just, the touchdown run he had where he, ran the guy over at the goal line or whatever it was, and he just does a great job with running the football. It's nice to have he and Christian. As we've talked about it here before, it's always nice to have two backs. And then you have 24 as well, get in there, 32 gets in there a little bit. We've got a nice, so now there's a rotation. You don't have to wear a guy out. A guy doesn't have to have 28 carries. Now he might because he's got the hot hand that day, but it's nice to have guys to roll through there. And it's a different style. You're gearing up to tackle Elijah, and then the next time it's Christian through the hole is not going to attack you the same way as Elijah does. And they all have a different skill set. So it's nice for us to be able to utilize them in different ways and also just in certain parts of the field. There's just a lot that goes into it, but it's nice to have those two guys. Really nice to have them back.
How do those guys work together to sort of counteract the old saying of a running back needs a certain number of carries to kind of get in a rhythm? It seems like you're able to put guys in and they are sharp right from the initial carry that they get. They're not having to feel their way through the game.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah, I think that with our system, and again, Kyle has done such a great job through the years of how we coach the runners. So yes, there's a little bit of a feel, but it is not one game's different than another game. Our run game's our run game, and how we read it, how we key it, and what we do. Yeah, there might be a feel to how a defense is playing it that day, a little bit, but for the most part, they've seen that at some point during the year because everybody, even though the defensive structure may change, the techniques, how they play it, how they fit the runs, it's kind of consistent, or they've seen it somewhere, right? Miami does it like Chicago, does it like this team, and then there's another group of teams that kind of fit it the same way. So once you've seen it a few times, yeah, the backs may tell you that. I'm not a runner. Hey, I need a rhythm. I need this and that. But at the end of the day, the way we coach them, I think the guy can kind of rotate through and kind of pick right up where they left off. Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
What were the conditions out there during practice, and were they a good warm-up for what you expect to see on Saturday?
Out there today, it was wet, windy, like really tough conditions, but really love the mindset of our guys and how they practiced today. It was really cool to see. Everybody was still locked in and focused. They didn't let the elements of the weather dictate how they were feeling and how they worked today. So it's a really good sign when your guys are made of the right stuff and they practice the right way.
You also talked about how the postseason guys kind of get this second wind. Have you noticed that, felt that amongst your players?
We're happy to be here now. It's weird when you clinch so early, right? It's a little weird. Like you got to still push through these games to try to advance your seeding as best as possible. And I think everybody is just, okay, we're here now. Now it's time to go. We've been waiting on this moment for a long time. Our guys have worked really hard to put themselves in position to have a chance. And we're here now, and our guys are excited about the opportunity, and they're working the right way. So I'm excited for our guys, excited to see them go play.
Feel nice rebound from given up to how you performed, how they performed in the last game?
Our guys responded really well versus the Raiders. We knew that was not representative of who we were defensively. So I was very proud of how our guys responded versus Arizona. Guys were locked in. Guys did their job. They were playing with great technique, great effort. Guys were swarming, playing our style of football, and it was nice to see. Sometimes you get punched in the face and you have to rebound. And our guys, they responded. They came out and they showed who they were. Right, that's the character of the guys that we have. Again, just made of the right stuff, and just so proud to coach these guys. So proud to coach them.
For this matchup, the last one between DK and Mooney on the field was extremely physical. you expect to see the same type of matchup with them again on Saturday?
This will be a very physical matchup with DK and Mooney and just across the board with their O-line, our defensive line, our linebackers. It's going to be a physical game. It's playoff football, and that's what it comes down to. Typically, the most physical team, the team who attacks the ball and takes the ball the most, is the team that's going to win this game. So I'm excited to see the matchup again, no matter who lines up across from DK or Lockett, whoever it may be. Guys are responsible. Guys have to do their job and go play to the best of their ability and just try to make plays versus those guys.
From your perspective, what are the pros and cons of facing a team 3 times in the same season?
For me, I look at it as this is this game this week. I don't look at it as the third time. Right? I can't look at it as the third time. It's all new. They've done different things, different tendencies from the last time we played them. So all of that really doesn't matter about 3 times. It's about this time. And how are we going to go play this time? It's playoff football. How are we going to go out and play our style of football? What happened before the previous 2 games, it really doesn't affect when we kick the ball off on Saturday. It really doesn't. It has no meaning on what happens on the field. We have to be the best team on Saturday for 3.5 hours.
But he's having a really good season, too. What makes him dangerous?
Yeah, Geno has done a really great job all year. I think for him, it's being consistent, the accuracy. Right? He's really putting the ball where it should be, a very high completion percentage, right? And he's making smart decisions with the football. So I think Geno is having an outstanding season. It's good to see a guy, rebound this late in his career and really showcase his talent. Geno has always been a really good quarterback, so it was good to see him, be the guy again and lead this team and lead them to the playoffs. He has to be pretty proud of his accomplishment and what he's done this year.
Significant boosts from in-season acquisitions at defensive tackle with T.Y. McGill, Michael Dwumfor. I think he recovered the fumble the other day. Do you have any communication with the personnel department during the season as far as these are the characteristics I'm looking for, this is what we need to kind of bridge the gap when there are injuries at a spot like that?
With our personnel department, I think we've done a really good job of just collaboration with our coaches and personnel, scouting, not only in season, but it's during the draft process, during free agency. So everybody is tied together and understand the type of players that we're looking for. So when something comes up in season, those guys already know. It's the same type of guys we look for in free agency and draft. It doesn't change. In season, if we can find a guy who fits our brand of football, we would love to have him.
Obviously, your concentration is on this game, but early in the week when your name, you start getting requests from other teams to interview. How do you process that?
It's very humbling to be able to get requests for head coaching interviews. Right? It's humbling when you think about a lot of guys who coached before me. And a lot of guys put in a lot of years, like a guy like Bobby Turner comes to mind, and all of the years he put in. So I think about guys like that and them not being able to get the opportunity, and me, truly being able to go represent for them. And that's what it means. It means a lot for the other guys that have been before me, and it's special to be able to be in a select group, to have head coaching interviews and people requesting. It's a special moment. It's a proud moment. And I'm very thankful and grateful just to be spoken of in that light. And so I'm very, very humble, very grateful for those opportunities.
A year ago, you had an opportunity to go get multiple interviews, and you said, no, I want to come back. I have more to learn. I would imagine a year later, how do you feel about that decision a year ago?
I feel strong about the decision I made, and I feel like it was the correct decision for me and my family at the time.
How much did going through it last year in terms of kind of balancing your time maybe help having to do it again this year?
Right. During this time, I'm thankful and happy to be in the playoffs at this time, and the interviews and those things, they'll take care of themselves at the right time. The focus is all about Seattle for me. It's all about that, all about what can we do, how can I help our guys be in position to go and win this game on Saturday. That's the focus. The interviews, all those things, right, they'll take care of themselves.
What was your individual focus this last year on how you wanted to get better at your job and perhaps prepare yourself better for a head coaching job down the line?
Right. For me, it's just overall, just there's a lot of scenarios, a lot of situations that come up throughout the year. Not just looking at it from a defensive perspective, but looking at it from a total team perspective, and just being able to sit in and listen to conversations and just really enhance my knowledge, not just on defense, but on overall team. That's the biggest thing for me, and I feel really good about where I am right now.
You take notes from Kyle and those types of things?
Yeah, always learning. For me, it's been awesome to be here and learn from Kyle. He's been an outstanding head coach, successful, has done it for coaching this league for a very long time, very knowledgeable guy. And I've gained so much knowledge from just sitting, listening to him, studying, seeing how he operates, how he runs the team. There's not a better guy for me to be able to sit under and learn from for the time that I've been here. He's been outstanding.
Nick said last week that one of the things he likes most about you is you push hard, but you know when to back off, or you just have a really good touch with that. Does your approach change at all as the stakes get higher in the season, as far as how you manage the personalities and how you drive them?
Right, managing our guys, for me, it's like we have a standard, and the standard is what our guys set. I didn't set the standard for our defense, our team. Our guys set that standard, and for me, I'm just there to push them to make sure we're still upholding that standard. And their standard was to be the best in the league. And for me, when it's not looking that way and it's not correct, it was up to me to make sure that, hey, who did we say we wanted to be, right? Who are we? And are we playing that way? Is it representative of being the best in the league? And for me, it's upholding that standard. Is always finding fine line to push guys, to encourage them, to uplift guys. That's all about leadership. It's not just pushing guys all the time. It's about encouraging. It's a fine line. It's a fine balance of mixing that out, and that just comes with having the proper leadership style and really understanding the people that you're working with. That's what it's all about. When you're connected to the people and you understand who they are, that's how you can push the proper buttons, right? You can push guys too hard and push them the wrong way and they go in the tank. But it's all about finding that right mix and knowing the guys who you're working with.
Quick question. Go ahead.
Have you developed a slightly softer touch?
Say that again, sir.
Have you developed a slightly softer touch?
A softer touch?
Yeah, as far as, I don't know, some guys would say well, just that maybe, not that you've gotten soft,
right.
But, you've eased up in some way, in a good way.
Yeah, I try to, it's, playing, I can be very intense when the time comes forward, and it is, learning. I think it goes back to also learning and understanding the players you're working with and what can they handle, right? So it's, how I talk to one guy is not how I can talk to others. So it's finding that fine balance of when to let up a bit and when to press guys. So there is a balance that I've learned and I've grown to become better at doing that and communicating with players.
Is that one of the hardest parts of being a coach?
It is. That's the hardest part of being a coach is how do you motivate all these different personalities, different guys, different learning styles in your room. How do you motivate each one? Each one is not motivated by the same thing. So it takes time talking to these guys, learning them off the field to understand what buttons can you push to help guys. And everything I do is about helping these guys be their absolute best, right, on the field and off the field. So it's you have to know them to be able to push them in the right way.
Jordan Willis, real quick. Nick Bosa's been so great all year. He gets so much attention and press. It seems like Jordan Willis has been stepping up recently and made a big impact. What's he doing well?
Jordan has done an outstanding job of really embracing this role and really flourishing in it. Right, when his number is called, he's going out there and he's put pressure on the quarterback. He's played the run very well. He plays with great effort and he's able to make game-changing plays for us. So Jordan is just being Jordan. He's himself. He goes out. He plays the right way. He's a physical player, and it shows on Sunday.
Like he did on Sunday.
That's again, Jordan, he's a guy who he's going to do whatever it takes to win. And that's the cool part about Jordan. He's going to do whatever it takes to win. And it's nothing cooler than seeing Jordan make a play and everybody on the sideline being fired up for Jordan, and he has the same cool, quiet demeanor about himself, and it's always fun to see him make plays. All right. Thank you, guys.